What we at the Planetary Society do is do our best to advance space science and exploration. We strongly believe that the search for life is worthy because it would change the world. So that's why the two logical places to look in the solar system are Mars and this moon of Jupiter called Europa. And if you've never seen Europa, I encourage you to go out there and take a look. You need a telescope or binoculars and look at Jupiter. Jupiter's a very bright object. Go to planetary.org. We'll show you where it is. And you can see that they look like pinpricks of light, the same pinpricks of light that Galileo himself observed when he took what was nominally a military instrument, a telescope, for looking at the other team, your enemy on the other hilltop, and pointed it at the sky. Not only did he point it at the sky, he pointed at the sky at night. And so he found Jupiter, and he found these 4 moons, which we nowadays call the Galilean moons after him. But meanwhile, dozens of other moons have been found, dozens. And the reason we talk about Europa so often and so much in my little space community is because it has twice as much seawater as the Earth. For years, people who had looked at Europa did not think it was so good or well advised to plan a mission there because of the great expense. You would have to have a lander, then you'd have to have some kind of amazing drill to drill through, pick a number, 20 or 50 kilometers of ice to get to this seawater. And so the surface of Europa is frozen. It's a crust of ice, water ice. But below it is liquid water, and it's kept liquid by the gravitational, or what we call tidal, action of Europa's orbit with this massive Jupiter. Europa's orbital period is 85 hours. And I got to tell you, I mean, imagine the moon going around the Earth every 2 days, every 3 days. Instead of a month, you'd have a 3-day period. It would be really short, a short month. And so this keeps, like squeezing a rubber ball, it keeps Europa warm, so there's seawater. So it's people who have looked at what it takes to be a living thing, which nowadays, these people nowadays call themselves, we like to call ourselves, itself, astrobiology. Astrobiologists have thought deeply about what it takes to be a living thing. You've got to have a membrane or a wall, something that separates you from what's not you. And then you probably have to have a liquid, a solvent. And the best solvent anybody can come up with is water. So, with the gravitational action and the frozen icy crust, Europa shoots geysers of water out into space all the time. So now it will be possible, instead of landing there and building some exotic drill and declaring the whole mission way too expensive to ever do, you would build a much more modest spacecraft that would have to go the extraordinary distance out to Jupiter and get an orbit out there around Europa. But you would have it fly through the geysers. Actually, the orbit would be around Jupiter. Have it fly through the geysers and like looking at bugs on the windshield. I mean, it would be extraordinary if there are living things there. It would be a worthy thing. We may discover life. Now, John Culberson, congressman from Texas, from West Houston, believes, he's sure of it. There's got to be life on Europa because it has all these wonderful, literally, elements of life. The chemicals that make up life are mixed in the seawater. This has been determined using magnetometers and spectrometers on the Galileo spacecraft, which has been in orbit out there for a long time. But Europa has seawater, squirting it into space. We could send a relatively inexpensive mission, and that relatively inexpensive is $2 billion. But $2 billion spread over 10 years is barely the cup of coffee per taxpayer once, and that pays for the whole mission over 10 years. And my feeling is people buy a lot more than one cup of coffee every 10 years. So that's why somebody in authority, somebody with reasonable insight at NASA said, we'll find life in the next 20 years. I would say the next 30, but 20 was great. Let's say if we could launch, we could get in the orbit of Jupiter and Europa by 2022. You'd get results back by 2025, and then things don't happen as fast as you think they would, so add 10 years. Yeah, so 20 years. 20 years from 2014, that's possible. it would change the world for a price of a cup of coffee. And wait, there's more. It wouldn't be the work of a guy like Galileo or Copernicus or Kepler. These are famous names in astronomy, or Isaac Newton or Einstein. It would be the work of all of us. It would be the work of all of us taxpayers and citizens of the earth who participate in this. Now, it might be US taxpayers nominally, but guarantee you the European Space Agency, Canadian Space Agency, almost certainly the Indian Space Research Organization, the Roscosmos, everybody would have a small part on this mission. Everybody would be involved. And if we were to find evidence of life, it would change the world. Change the world.